frenzy. Yeah, we made it. Sorry, Luke. Proportions are looking great, my man. And that one, this one though, I want to talk to you about proportion. Again, line of action stuff. All right, so I'm looking for the end of the line here. Just follow that energy. What's nice again about line of action is that it helps us with proportion. It's a great tool for proportion, not just movement. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. And what I mean by that is, in this case, if I go much further, I'm gonna run off my page here, which I still do sometimes, and it makes me crazy. But if I follow that energy of that punch, it's just like, you kind of want to go wild with it a little bit. But I have a end point and another end point with the foot. So right there, it's like, okay, well, where's my shoulder in relationship and my hips, right? And not that you need to always mark that, but mentally, it helps. And you have this leg that's in front, right? And then this leg, it's all emanating from these hips, okay? And I'm constantly comparing. I'm looking at how this leg might relate to the arm, things like that, okay? So, and then another thing I notice in your drawings is they get a little boxy. So you have this really sharp angle on her back, yeah. And on the front here, everything's getting a little flat. You have a lot of box. And as you study your anatomy, try to draw with that kind of rhythm. Forms can flow into each other. And I know it's gesture and all that kind of stuff, but I probably wouldn't treat the back like a box, like that hard edge. I mean, straights and curves, I get it. That's a total great tool. But I would really consider that form over just, because straights are great, a great tool for showing direction and action, right? Which is what you're doing here. And I love the straight in the arm. But even then, it's not really a straight, Give a little bit of room for these forearm muscle, the deltoid right there, and then how this wraps around, things like that. Okay? So, and then the head, again, I have a good or a bad habit, I'm not sure, of putting that head last. So, and that would be good in the proportions as well. You can see that the legs in the suggestion here are a lot longer, okay? A little bit more proportional to what's happening. So that's all, buddy. But you've got the motion in there, you've got the action there. I feel that action. I could see the improvement in your work, dude. So, but proportions, got to pay attention. All right, what else we got, Mr. Luke? This one, a similar story in a way. These proportions look pretty good, which is nice. And I love that you mapped out some sort of a ground plane to set the character at this crazy angle that she's at, okay? I love it. Again, with the boxiness, I think that's why I chose this one to talk about. And really consider that form, which I think you are. So I'm just being nitpicky, I think, on this one. I really like it. I think you do good. But when you're drawing these overlapping shapes, like this leg is kind of going back in space, consider, like this is the butt area here, hips and all that, and this leg is going back in space. Not that I'm not a big fan of drawing tubes, like those wooden armatures. But I don't like them. Those wooden armatures people have in their windowsills or something. I think it messes you up, to be honest with you. But there's something to be said about thinking of things in shapes, okay? And when the shape is turning away from you, when you just break it down into simplicity in your mind like that, it'll help you get that thing to go away, So I would think in shapes, but I don't know that I would draw tubes everywhere, okay? Because yeah. But one thing I love about your drawings every week, man, is I see somewhere in your drawing where you've pushed the pose. I could see like a little thumbnail off to the side where you're like, oh, I would have bent that back a little bit more or done something like that. And I love that. You're really thinking and pushing, and you know, and this is why we're here. I think you already have twist in your pose, but maybe we can exaggerate that twist a little bit, because it's like that. I think you're getting that right idea, like that uppercut feeling. It's just like this, like your shoulders are going to twist one way, and you already have her arm coming back. That's great, but uh, maybe just push it a little bit because you've got it there. But yeah, I think mainly it's that leg. Maybe that's what's bothering me. I think your foot placement's great. Just bringing that leg, it gets a little shrunken. Okay. And I might have brought this arm up a little bit just to help the silhouette. Maybe the shoulder is there now, and this arm is here. Maybe her ponytail's flying. I don't know. Anyway, really good though, man. Just watch those proportions and try to break that habit of getting too boxy, like making boxes of everything. Start graduating from that and getting that rhythm back, like we just talked about. And consider some anatomy, because I know it's in there. I know how hard you work. So anyway, great stuff, buddy. All right. Peachy. Very cool. All right, moving on to Peachy. Sweetly Peachy. This one, really cool. You always have such a lovely feeling in your line. It's very delicate. I just have such a nice feeling in there. With this one, this just might be a feeling of storytelling. I think the proportions are nice. I love how you have the shoulders up like that. That feels really good. I was just thinking maybe we can mess with that feeling of the shoulders are up. And I like what you did with the head there. That's really cool. I would just reverse that back. I think that was it. It's just a quick thought here. Okay? And maybe that tummy is up, like the band on the that boxing, that thick band they have on their waist, right? It usually says like Everlast or Ever Ready or whatever it's called. That's such a great thing. But yeah, I just might reverse that because I love everything else. Just to get that feeling. Yeah, it didn't work from this angle. Really nice angle. Again, fun stuff. All right, moving on. This one, lovely proportions. Again, I think similar to this pose with Luke, I might just push that idea of that twist. You got really nice anatomy stuff happening with your legs and whatnot. I think you got your hips all working. Again, you got a nice ground plane cash out thing to kind of give it a little bit of weight. I might exaggerate some stuff to like lift that that back heel up off the ground, just to get that reach in there. And yeah, then maybe the model again's not doing that, but it's like, you know what? I don't like doing what I'm told, right? So rebel. Don't do what the model's doing. Okay, and then that twist. Here we go. Sorry, I was just setting up here. So if I'm going to do that feeling, I want to get that feeling of a punch. Bah! Right? And so you have that angle, that's lovely. But I feel like in this drawing, how can I make this feel like a boxer throwing a punch? But I feel like maybe in your drawing, somebody who's lifting a weight or reaching for something, it could be a few different things. And sometimes it's hard to step outside of our own drawing. So I might bring this arm back just to get that twist, that action reaction, like meaning this arm's going, the punching arm's going up, and an uppercut's more of like a close quarters kind of a punch, but just to push that twist a little bit, maybe, And when we throw that opposite arm back, that helps the twist feeling too. Yeah, I'm just kind of exaggerating here. I'm not really correcting a drawing. Again, I love the feeling in your drawings. Oof. Or maybe I should have twisted the wrist a little bit, more of a side view. I don't know. Anyway, all that to say, that's a hard one to say much about, but maybe just to get that feeling of twist, you know, that's a tough one. Anyhow, lovely work as usual. All right, moving on. Meg, love this drawing, Meg. I don't know if you're here with us. Yeah, this one, I just love it. I think it's such, it's like very effortless. It's like, deet, 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 there's my drawing. It's all there. I love it. The only thing I was thinking, just for the sake of pushing, it's like when you think of this feeling of exhaustion, I'm going to set up the legs like you have it here. I might just bend that back. Like when you feel like you're exhausted, maybe it's like that weight of the torso is sagging, and you might change. Maybe that's not what the model has in front of you, but when you get that idea of pushing and almost like a bridge, it's like if that leg is one part of the suspension bridge and that shoulder, it's going to be on the other side, but you're going to get like this sagging feeling, right, in a bridge. So you get that, the hips are holding up one end, then you have this arm back here that's holding the weight of the other, and then this arm's just kind of doing its thing here. And I remember this pose, I was thinking like, oh man, the arm could be doing the same thing. This arm in the back is holding the weight, right? And I like what you did with the head, sagging, that's cool. But maybe this shoulder is doing the same thing. But this arm is drooping and sagging. And then you have this nice angle here. So it's just like, how can I use these little tools to push that feeling of weight and exhaustion, right? But anyway, lovely drawing. Really, really cool. This one, I just thought the proportions got away a little bit. Again, everything is there. I mean, I think you drew that headgear and that shoulder area so beautifully. I don't think I could do that. So, really nice. But yeah, I think you were tracking a lot of stuff, but I feel like the legs got a little short and the torso, or the torso got a little longer. That's all, looks like you drew them separately. Maybe you could bring that in. It probably wasn't, I don't think she was doing what I'm doing here, but when you think of that feeling, and I think your neck got a little thick there in the back, but anyway, all that to say, just watch the proportion in these, especially in these kind of technical, complicated poses. There's so much that has to feel right. Like she needs to be sitting on her little teeny stool here. There's a lot going on. Anyway, yeah, maybe just attach that arm. Sorry, this is kind of messy, but watch those proportions. Anyway, beautiful stuff, Meg. Really like looking at your drawings. Mr. Matt! Meg said, yes, took too much time in the upper half and rushed the bottom half. Yes, I know the feeling. We all do it, but it's like I was talking in class. When we work in pieces and parts, they start to look unrelated. But if we're working all together and laying everything out at once, line of action and angles and all these things, and comparing pieces, and then you can fill in the really cool, headgear and, but when we work in pieces and parts, things get, unrelated. Matt, same thing. I like that arm though. That front arm looks wonderful. I feel like your hip area, I gotta look at there's something flat looking about that back leg, probably that suspension bridge idea again. If you're going to choose to do the hips like side view like that, that's fine. What that back leg was doing, but I feel like things got turned a little too far, or it just looks like you kind of went parallel with that thigh a little bit, where it probably should taper if you're just going to treat it like a shape, you know? And it looks like this one just kind of shoots out up here. So maybe drawing through, which I think we all need to work on. Maybe sag that just a little bit, but I do like the stretch you have on there. And I love the glove that you did, that's really nice. This one, I think it's just a proportion thing. I love the dude yelling, "Yeah, man," that ref or whatever, he's cool. I love the arc you have on her back. I think I definitely drew the front angle on that because I was in the room with her, but you might want to clear that glove from the body. I don't know. I don't think we ever really got into leg anatomy last year, but you might want to think about that. Thighs and stuff. I got to work on that myself. I love the hunch you have, but my only thought, if you're gonna lean her over, I think this is where I'm kind of figuring this out as I go, but what's bothering me about proportion is the legs are too short, and the arm, if you're gonna droop it down, make sure the arm proportion, it looks like it needs more forearm, and so the glove is going to be maybe even below the knee down here. So just watch, if you're going to sag this, everything's got to come down with it. And I love the head you did, really nice. And I think I'd have to see the video on that relationship with Kelly's arm, but it looks like it might be a little bit that it needs to come forward. It needs to feel right. It feels like it's popping out of her back a little bit like this. But yeah, just being picky, dude. But yeah, proportions, just watch that stuff. All right, cool. And Amanda's daughter, thank you for joining us today. I'm so excited that you're here. Your drawings are so wonderful. 11 years old. Man, I wish I drew that good when I was 11. Anybody else say amen to that? Come on. All right, a little coffee here. Really nice. Amanda's raising children that are going to take over the art world. Proportions look great. I just might push it, approaching a drawing, because you're drawing what you see, and I think that's great, and that's how we learn, right? But maybe pushing that idea of somebody who's tired, right, and approaching the drawing like that. And then, yes, getting all the things right and learning your anatomy and learning form. But it's like, maybe I'll bend that back a little bit more. And maybe I'll droop that head a little bit more. And these are artistic decisions sometimes. But if I succeed in getting my audience, meaning the people who are looking at my drawings, to feel something, to feel that exhaustion or sadness or joy, right? Then wow, you've succeeded. Glenn Keane, an animator, he talks about moving the audience. Like that's our job as an artist, right? So yeah. So I might have just pushed that a little bit, and try to think of not so much of always just the outside of your forms, of your subject, in this case a model, but try to think of the movement inside, and how things are interconnected, because you're drawing things that are 3 dimensions. It's almost like you want to think of drawing as a sculpture. You're drawing a 3-dimensional object just on a 2-dimensional surface. In this case it's probably an iPad or sketchbook, I don't know, but anyway, all that to say, trying to think too much of the outside edges, the contour, but try to draw that flow from one thing to the next. But anyway, just being picky here because you put your drawings in. But same thing with this one. Proportions look really nice. What Kelly was posing, it's like she looked just like that, you know, really, really cool. But maybe push that idea, you know, like this is somebody in the Olympics who just won something. She's like, yeah, you know, and maybe just stretch that arm a little higher, you know, and thinking of, you know, where is that energy coming from, you know, is she like, is that coming from the foot on the same side? But I might stretch that arm out, yeah, you know, and I might bring this arm back more. It's like getting that feeling of victory, you know. So maybe I'm going to lean forward on this leg more. Maybe I'll put more weight on this hip, which is going to cause this one to fall a little bit. Maybe stretch it a little further, you know, than what's the model's doing, just to get that feeling. She's like, yeah. All right, cool. Great job, Amanda's daughter. Here's Amanda. Yeah, man. Yeah, Amanda, beautiful work as always. Love your drawings, so fun. I love that straight of your back leg. I probably would just, again, maybe push it a little further. But that's just me being picky, man. Beautiful drawings. Let's see here. I don't want to take away the straight that you have there. That's lovely. I don't know. I might bring up that back heel just as a nitpicky detail. But that front, this is just being picky, but that front thigh gets a little away from us proportion-wise, but whatever. What am I doing here? Ugh. There we go. Maybe play around with a little bit of looseness in fabric. Like I love Tom Gately's loosey-goosiness in not only his anatomy, but how he uses clothing and fabric. So it's so much movement in there, you know? So lovely. Wow. Man, my arm got humongous there. Let me fix that. Goodbye. All right, so, and that's about it, man. I would just, maybe a little bit more of a stretch, you know, really feel that action. We got to get you animating. Yeah, man. I feel like, I was thinking this morning, it might be fun to introduce some sort of animation exercise for everybody. And you could drop that arm. I probably would have dropped it, but I don't know if that's the right way to go. And that back arm. But when you really animate something and you're really feeling the movement, there's a lot that you begin to learn and notice about this stuff. I think that would be really fun. Anyway, beautiful drawings. Come on. Awesome, awesome. This one, I love all of that upper arm stuff. I just felt like the proportions got a little away from you. Maybe sag that butt down. That butt got a little bony. But that's just me being picky. I think, you know, dropping the butt there would give that a little bit more weight, a little bit more conviction, you know, and maybe even pulling it back a little bit, because I love the hunch in your shoulder. I wouldn't want to change that, you know. The arm is so great, so clear, but maybe just push that down a little bit. Add a little bit of meat, a little saggy. But that's just being picky because you put your stuff up there because you're awesome. Love your work. All right, Dory, thank you for submitting your stuff. Again, proportions, how can we tackle that? Right now, what I'm doing with my eyeballs is I'm looking at the knee, because this knee is connected to the ground. That's really important. And I'm comparing, okay, where am I at with the shoulders here and the knee here? and the waist, okay? And when I'm doing these comparisons, and Dory, you had some really great stuff. What was that, 2 weeks ago? The decathlete? Yeah, really nice stuff. But yeah, proportions I feel like are getting away from you. We talked a lot about that today with everybody, but it can happen, you know? So you have to compare a lot. You have to do a lot of comparison. Like, and another thing that can help too, if it's just like not clicking, is looking at negative shape versus positive shape, right? So I might look at this area. How does that looking? You know, or I might look at the area here. I'm probably changing what the model was doing, but I might look at this area here around the legs and see how that's comparing, you know, and that shape. Sometimes shapes help, and paying attention to negative space. But one thing I find is comparing the pieces and the parts together, okay? And even comparing like where things are resting, like the head, how does that relate to this knee down here? You know, and that's helping with balance, okay? Anyway, man, that's all. Just watch those proportions, and I think, and that's kind of across the board, not just this drawing. But the, and that comparison thing, it really helps, you know? Then after a while, you won't think as much about certain things of drawing. It'll just come out, you know, because we're training our hand-eye coordination thing. And that's what this repetition's all about. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Thank you for coming today. Great work, everybody. And I think that's it. You guys rock. And have a great week. Get out and draw in the wild. And we will see you next Saturday. Oh, for beach volleyball. Talk to you soon.